they expect the best in emergency care, but the I-Team's Rick Nelson is here to tell us that is not always the case in Harris County.
Well, Ron, to become a qualified ambulance attendant, a person has to pass a rigorous battery of tests. But we found a company that's been making emergency calls without qualified personnel.
Vultures. It was awful.
He was absolutely useless in the back of the ambulance.
I was still pretty shook up, so I just thought it was real cold.
These people are talking about an ambulance company called Trauma One, formerly known as Houston Memorial EMS. Until a few days ago, Trauma One was not registered with the state. Even though the Texas Department of Health informed the company it was operating illegally, it continued to make emergency calls in North Harris County. A Channel 2 I-Team investigation has found that some of Trauma One's employees and even its owner are not certified by the state. We also found a disturbing pattern of how they transport patients and how they collect money. It was here 3 months ago that Nancy Hambrick's sister-in-law was hurt in a serious car accident. Hambrick rode in the back of the Trauma One ambulance. When her sister-in-law passed out and had trouble breathing, she says the ambulance attendant didn't know what to do.
So between the two of us, we got the oxygen out, and we got that on my sister-in-law. Plus, we also got smelling salts, which she dropped a couple of times.
State law requires an ambulance to have 2 qualified attendants who are registered by the state. But the only one that night was a shoe cook, Regia, who had trouble with the oxygen. He joined Trauma One after being asked to resign from another emergency service for making a bomb threat at the Jersey Village High School last February. He was unavailable for comment. The second person on board was Donnie Brown, who is not certified. 4 years ago, Brown was sentenced to 2 years in prison for involuntary manslaughter. Court records show he was drunk when he rammed his truck into the back of a car and killed a 6-year-old boy. Brown also was driving this Trauma One ambulance 3 months ago when it outraced another ambulance company to this house where 5-year-old Felicia Alford had been hit by a car. Chick Hosmer, an EMT with the Westfield Volunteer Fire Department, was working to save the child's life. A Trauma One attendant was helping him.
Every time you asked for a particular piece of equipment, he handed you like the opposite of what you needed and didn't know where the stuff was in the ambulance.
Felicia's grandmother says Donnie Brown badgered her for money, even as the girl was dying.
I told him, I said, well, I'm too shook up. I'm shaking so much I couldn't write a check. And he said, well, I'll write it if you can sign it.
I explained to the woman there was a charge for the equipment that was used out of my ambulance, which is strictly legal.
Billy Griffin owns Trauma One and says he now employs only qualified people.
I don't have any personnel on board that unit that doesn't know what they're doing.
Do you have an ECA certification?
No, sir, I don't.
Does Donnie Brown?
No, sir.
How would you describe your business here, Trauma One?
Legal and legit.
Since that interview, Billy Griffin and Donnie Brown have been served with arrest warrants, charging them with operating an ambulance without the proper certification.
Why aren't these people certified, Rick?
Well, one of them, he flunked his test, and the other one has a criminal record, so he can't get a license.
Okay, thank you very much. Summer's over. The Rock
forced to go if you don't want her to go.
When Doris Maggio was hurt this evening in a traffic accident, she was treated by the Harris County Emergency Corps.